Welcome to the 2018 FIA Asia Pacific Rally Championship and the third round of the series, the International Rally of Johor in Malaysia. It's an event where the weather, extreme heat and deep ditches make it an extremely difficult rally to finish, let alone win. Plus, as part of the championship's 30th anniversary, we take a look back at Malaysia's contribution to rallying in the region. International events that go back to the 1980s. Back to 2018, and after two events in the Pacific, the first on the fast and smooth gravel roads of New Zealand, and the next on rough and rocky tracks near Canberra, Australia. The FIA Asia Pacific Rally Championship teams now pack their containers and head to Asia. The APRC is all about diversity, and Malaysia's narrow plantation tracks are followed by the fast roads of Japan's Rally of Hokkaido and lots of enthusiastic spectators. This year's finale is the China Rally, now back in its traditional home in Longyu, where the roads are a mixture of concrete and gravel. The cooler South Pacific events were good ones for the APRC Drivers' Championship leader Yuya Sumiyama from Japan, who heads to Asia with 2 wins in his Cusco Skoda, giving him 77 points. Italian driver Fabio Friziero is second on 55 points. However, he's elected to skip the Malaysian event. Malaysia 2017 was Sumiyama's first experience of the Skoda R5, and his debut didn't go quite to plan. He suffered this off-road excursion. Luckily, he was able to extract himself from this deep ditch after plenty of digging and help from local fans. Sumiyama's Cusco teammate, Mike Young from New Zealand, also knows the Malaysian event can bite. This high-speed crash in 2015 was followed by a more frustrating off in 2016. He was stuck fast in a ditch and out of the event a few stages from the finish, even though both his Subaru teammates stopped to try and pull him free. Sumiyama and Young and the Cusco team know what it takes to finish in Malaysia. And having experienced the sweet taste of victory in the past, they're out testing in the plantations at the first opportunity. Competitors not only have to prepare themselves for the extreme temperatures, they also have to negotiate the narrow, slippery tracks through the palm oil plantations. Roads made even more hazardous by the deep ditches alongside them. Testing in these conditions is particularly important for Cusco's AP4 development car, a Toyota Vitz driven by Young. So far, it hasn't finished an international event. They did come very close in Australia, retiring on the very last stage with no clutch. Young and co-driver Malcolm Reed arrive in Malaysia to find that the team has installed an uprated clutch, a new engine and strengthened the suspension. As it's his birthday, Reed has another present from the Cusco team, a very special cake. The following day is Shakedown, an opportunity for more testing and to check out the opposition. PG Abhilash from India returns to the APRC with his Subaru Impreza to defend his 2 APRC class titles. Malaysian driver Abdul Qadir Mustafa, or AK for short, gets his first taste of international rallying, entering a 2-wheel drive Proton Satria. As the competitors ready themselves for the start ceremony of the 2018 International Rally of Johor, they're about to compete in an event that's been part of the APRC since its inception back in 1988. Back then, it was based in the capital, Kuala Lumpur. It saw epic battles between manufacturer teams from Mitsubishi, Mazda, Toyota, Daihatsu and Subaru. A string of former APRC champions battled it out in the heat of the Malaysian event, including Subaru's Possum Bourne and Mitsubishi's Ross Dunkerton and Mazda's Rod Millen. Later in the program, we'll look back to some of these early rally events in more detail. While rallying history can be measured in decades, the country of Malaysia has existed for centuries, gained independence from the British Empire in 1946, and has now grown into a modern nation of 30 million people that merges the Malay, Chinese and Indian cultures. The countryside, especially around the region of Johor, features majestic and beautiful landscapes. Prior to the start ceremony at the International Rally of Johor, we catch up with the drivers, beginning with AK, who's done a lot of track racing, but is he ready for the challenge of an international rally like Malaysia?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So I was thinking, because we knew last year, so I was thinking for go two-wheel drive for maybe 1 year, then we go for 4 wheels, and looking forward to go for APRC, because I've drive a couple of years on track circuit. So when it comes to rally, it's something different and something new.
After a solid year in 2017, Abhilash has this year decided to focus on the Asian rounds, and one of his favourites is Malaysia.
I always like Malaysian Rally for one reason, because it's very technical, and whoever keep the car on road comes to the finish, he goes back home with good points. Then Malaysia Rally, it's not, you can't get prepared for a rally, because you know why? Because Malaysia Rally is all about luck. Anyway.
The 2013 Malaysian Rally was the first event where Young and Reid worked together, and as a team they instantly gelled. Driving a production class two-wheel drive Toyota Vitz, they won the APRC category in Malaysia and went on to win the 2013 FIA Asia Cup. Young and the Cusco team are hoping Malaysia will signal a change in fortune for their 2018 season.
You know, it hasn't been the best year for us so far, but you know, the Cusco team and TRD have been working hard behind the scenes, and there's a lot of development for this rally, and I guess the Malaysian Rally is probably one of the toughest of the year, so we really need to do that, and yeah, the heat's quite hard in the car, so I think it should be good. You know, I think the plan here is just to finish, really.
As the championship leader, Sumiyama's goal for the International Rally of Johor is all about consolidating his points, especially when his main rival for the Drivers' Championship, Fabio Friziero, isn't here.
It is very hot and humidity is very high, so the rally will be very tough, I think. And the stages are very difficult, and the road condition is very tough. So my priority is to finish this rally and get the point. Thank you.
The competitors are given the traditional flag off, starting 2 days and 234 kilometres of rallying in a sauna. After the break, the Malaysian roads take their toll almost immediately. And are the Cusco teammates going in opposite directions? To get the Rally of Johor started in the best possible way, first up is a 32-kilometre monster of a stage, easily won by Sumiyama and co-driver Takehiro Yasui. Compared to last year's event in Malaysia when he was driving the Skoda R5 for the first time, Sumiyama is feeling well at home in the car, winning stage 2 as well and giving himself a healthy 1 minute and 25-second lead. The Japanese driver is enjoying the mostly drier road conditions. However, there are hidden slippery patches, and at Sumiyama's pace, they do result in a couple of overshoots. Teammate Mike Young is pushing the Cusco Toyota as hard as he dares, but immediately finds he has no handbrake. And with many tight hairpin bends in the palm oil plantations, it's hard to keep up the momentum. He starts to lose confidence with the foot brakes too, as they overheat and fade towards the end of the long stages.
7 left 50. 7
The
left.
brakes aren't the only thing overheating. Long grass on stage 3 starts to clog up the radiator, raising the engine temperatures to dangerous levels.
140.
Even with these issues, Young is comfortably in second place, as behind him, Abalash and Mustafa have had their own issues.
Through dip 100 up. Brake before top.
The engine in Abalash's Subaru won't rev above 5,000 RPM, making it very difficult to drive in the hot and humid conditions. An off-road excursion on stage 3 adds to his woes. Although the damage is minor, the Indian driver is happy to make it back to the service park. Mustafa has a clean run through stage 1, but then brake issues after a big jump slow the Malaysian driver on stage 2. He has an even bigger problem on stage 3 though, when his Indonesian co-driver T. Arjuna passes out with severe dehydration. AK makes it through the stage without pace notes and then heads back to service to get Arjuna medical attention. After the morning loop of stages, Sumiyama drives his Skoda in for a 20-minute service.
Morning stage, no trouble, but very little slippery and overshoot too. But I want to day one finish.
So conditions are mostly dry, but there's some wet patches or slippery patches.
Dry condition and slippery condition, wet condition, very difficult, very change.
How about this afternoon? Weather?
Yeah, especially in the last stage, the front was full of grass, so that's definitely not helping the temperature. But yeah, it's super hot. It's hard to keep the car cool. And one of the worst things is we've lost the handbrake, so you know it's probably the worst rally ever not to have a handbrake.
You're going all right this morning, and then it looks like you've done some damage.
Because we couldn't fix that wiring snag, the wiring issue. So the car is cutting out at 5.5. It's on a safe mode. So I'm struggling to drive the car all the 3 stages, and it's like very tiring, too hot.
What happened to the front?
I just went off in the last SS a bit, but safe.
The co-driver, he was collapsed during SS3, so we have to drive all SS3 without the co-driver. He brought by ambulance now, but I think he will be okay in 10 minutes. And after that, we are going for days 4, 5, and 6.
With the Cusco team repairing his handbrake and adjustments to the front differential, Young is able to push harder in the afternoon and is just 2 seconds off Sumiyama's pace on the 32-kilometre stage 4. The next test is where Sumiyama went off the road in 2017, but this year there are no such dramas. He wins the stage by 6 seconds.
Left, right 20.
Now Young's Toyota is going into limp mode as the radiator is unable to cool the engine sufficiently on the slow plantation tracks.
Minor shortcut, don't go wide.
Behind the Cusco pair there are problems for Abalash and AK. Abalash breaks a drive shaft in his Subaru, then spins. He gets stuck in a ditch and is forced to retire for the day. There's an even wilder ride for AK, who goes off on a high-speed right-hander over a brow and ends up in a watery ditch. The crash looks even more dramatic from the air. The final stage of the day also sees some dramas for Young. A heavy landing after a jump damages the radiator and leads to an overheating engine.
Turn, holy turn 2 left, don't go wide.
Back at evening service, work on Sumiyama's Skoda seems routine. But everyone else has a massive amount of work required to get them back out the following day.
I finished day one. It was very tough, but luckily there's no rain. And as I said, the stages are very difficult, and I have to concentrate on each corner. So that makes me so tired, but also tomorrow I'll do my best.
Young's radiator is pulled out and replaced.
We're lucky to finish in the end because see the damage there, that we did a bit of a jump and it's just touched the radiator, but luckily it hasn't leaked out the water, so we've been lucky.
You came down on your nose?
Yeah, just a bump and it just kicked the rear up and then hit the ground reasonably hard, so yeah, quite a surprising one, but I think we luckily got away with it.
Abhilash's crew is working on his Subaru and the damage appears to be minimal.
Stage SS5, what happened like last 2 kilometers, the car, I think when it happened, the left drive shaft broke. So in a tight right-hander, the car spun and went into a ditch and got stuck. So out for the day, but we are changing it and rejoining tomorrow.
Right, okay, so no serious damage?
No, only the drive shaft and just a spin into a ditch. Luckily it's a small one, so the car is fine.
Luckily for Mustafa, his Proton is not too badly damaged either, and the team is confident he'll be back out on day 2.
Then we did the crash. I said, there's no way to save the car. So I tried to not to make sure straight away jump to this hole. So I was trying to go sideways. But okay, finally we managed to save a little bit of the car. So now we are pushing the team to make sure the car ready, and looking forward for tomorrow.
In the morning, there's been overnight rain, and although it hasn't affected the grip level too much, it has increased the temperature and humidity. There's good news for Abhilash and AK. They both restart the rally for day 2. Sumiyama continues as he did on day 1, attacking the first stage and increasing his overnight lead to 3 minutes and 24 seconds. But Young wins the 12-kilometre stage 8, fastest by 18 seconds. Then on the next test, Mawai, there's a complete reversal of roles when Abhilash wins the stage by nearly a minute. And even more dramatically, Sumiyama's lead is cut to just 1 minute and 13 seconds. To find out why, we joined Sumiyama and co-driver Takahiro Yasui 5 kilometres from the finish.
50. Left, 70.
They're off and stuck in a deep ditch. Yasui jumps out of the car to try and push it out, but the situation seems pretty hopeless.
Open tight and 4 short.
Luckily, teammates Young and Reid are not far behind.
Narrow off. Just stop it, we'll help. We'll stop it out. We've got an hour to think, so back up.
Reid and Yasui direct the salvage operation. The Skoda is seriously stuck. But thankfully, the teammates are able to haul it free. And then the 2 Cusco cars convoy to the finish line.
Then 5 left. Good work. We are good, boys.
Back at midday service, there's a very relieved and thankful Sumiyama.
So Sumiyama-san, last stage drama.
Yeah, SS9, my stuck, Michael push up, very happy.
Young is amazed that he and Reid were able to pull the Skoda out.
Luckily we turned around to face the other way so we could go forward to pull him out, and I think it was the right decision because he was very well stuck. I didn't think we were going to even get him out, so we were lucky.
I think it was repayment for 2016 when the same thing happened to you.
Yeah, I guess it was, but I think we did a much better job of pulling him out.
Yeah. Well, then you were permanently stuck.
Yeah.
But there's still one more sting in the tail for Sumiyama when rain starts to fall on the last stage. After the break, we also check out some of Malaysia's rally history. With his lead on the Rally of Johor reduced to just over a minute, Sumiyama heads back out onto the stages, determined to extend the lead margin. He wins the first two to restore the gap to 1.5 minutes to teammate Young. At the back of the pack, AK is having a trouble-free run. Relieved to cross the finish line as heavy rain starts to fall on the final stage.
Finally, we finished the APRC. I feel so glad. The last SS was super slippery. It was driving like snow on snow. Yeah. But it was, oh, thanks God. Finally, we finished the APRC.
Abhilash is also having an incident-free morning, and by restarting, he and co-driver Musa Sharif have got themselves back into third place. They can even celebrate a stage win.
So happy. First podium in 4 rallies.
Young and Reid managed to claim the Vitz's first finish in an international event. In second place feels almost as good as a win.
It's for my team basically, you know, they've been working really hard over the last few months for this car, so it's good to really bring it home for them.
Young is unaware that his teammate has had a last stage scare. With the rain making the roads treacherously slippery, Sumiyama slides gently off the road. Luckily, there are no deep ditches here, and this time he's able to reverse out and continue. There's a strong sense of relief when Sumiyama checks into the final control.
Sumiyama-san, congratulations.
To stop. Malaysia road very difficult to finish, very happy.
Back in Johor, Sumiyama drives his Skoda onto the finish ramp, where he and Yasui are able to celebrate finishing first outright. They're joined by their Cusco teammates Young and Reid, who finished second, with Abhilash and Sharif in third place. Sumiyama and Yasui are presented with the Worth Cup and prize money, followed by the usual celebrations. By finishing first overall with his home event in Japan up next, Sumiyama shoots to the lead in the Worth Cup, 24 points in front of Hayden Paddon. Young moves into fourth and Abhilash ninth equal. Now let's take a look back at some of Malaysia's amazing rally history. You have to start with the titanic battles that went on in the late 1980s between New Zealander Rod Millen, driving for Mazda, up against Aussie arch-rival Ross Dunkerton, who drove for the Mitsubishi team. Millen was crowned APRC champion in 1989, while Dunkerton took the title twice, in 91 and 92. In the mid-90s, the competition really ratcheted upwards, and the 1995 Rally of Malaysia was a good example. Future champions like Subaru's Colin McRae and Possum Bourne taking on the likes of Kenneth Eriksson and Tommy Mackinnon in their Mitsubishis. As usual, Malaysia took its toll, and it was the Mitsubishis of Eriksson and Mackinnon that finished first and second. Notably, third place was taken by a then little-known local Malaysian driver, Karamjit Singh. He went on to win 3 APRC titles and the World Group N title for Proton. Roll on a decade to 2006 and it seems nothing much has changed. It was still damn hot and the battle was still between Mitsubishi and Subaru. In the Group N era, Japan's Katsu Taguchi led the MRF Mitsubishi team, taking on Aussie drivers Cody Crocker and Eli Evans. From 2006, Subaru driver Crocker won the FIA APRC drivers title 4 times. Rifat Sungkar from Indonesia, Crocker's Motor Image Subaru teammate, vividly remembers the Malaysian Rally.
2007, we hit a tree and I go 21 kilometers without tire. The tire have to drag the whole way. But yeah, I'm here. We have to fight until the end of the rally.